October 31st, 2008. Halloween night in Lagos. The National Stadium was transformed into a magical carnival wonderland. Thousands of families had gathered for the biggest Halloween charity event Lagos had ever seen, organized by the wealthy elite to raise money for children's hospitals. Mrs. Adora Namdi stood near the entrance, watching her 5-year-old daughter Kelechi spin around in her princess costume, giggling with pure joy. The pink dress sparkled under the carnival lights, and the plastic tiara sat slightly crooked on her head. "Mama, look, I'm a real princess." Kelechi twirled, her face painted with stars and flowers. "You are my princess," Adora smiled, her heart full. "My beautiful, precious princess." At 32, Adora was already one of Nigeria's most successful businesswomen. She and her husband, Chief Namdi, had built Namdi Industries into an empire: real estate, hotels, manufacturing. They had everything: wealth, status, a beautiful home in Ikoyi, and most importantly, their daughter Kelechi. Mrs. Namdi, one of the event organizers, rushed over, clipboard in hand. "We need your signature on the donation forms." Just for a moment, Adora glanced at Kelechi, who was now watching a group of children playing nearby, mesmerized by their costumes: superheroes, witches, vampires, cartoon characters. "Stay right here, baby. Mama will be back in 1 minute. Don't move, okay?" "Okay, Mama." Kelechi nodded, eyes still on the children. Adora walked just 10 feet away to the registration table. She signed 3 forms, discussed a last-minute change of program, and checked her watch. 30 seconds had passed. She turned back to where Kelechi had been standing. The spot was empty. "Kelechi," Adora called, scanning the immediate area. Maybe she'd moved a few steps. Children did that, but Kelechi wasn't there. "Kelechi!" Adora's voice rose, sharper now. She pushed through a group of teenagers in zombie costumes. "Kelechi!" No answer. Panic began to creep in, cold and suffocating. Adora started running, searching frantically, behind booths, near the food stands, around the game areas. Thousands of people filled the stadium, most in costumes, faces painted, many children Kelechi's size wearing similar princess dresses. "Kelechi, baby, where are you?" Adora's scream cut through the carnival music. People started to notice. Security guards rushed over. "Madam, what's wrong?" "My daughter. She was right here. 5 years old, pink princess costume, face paint. She's gone." Within minutes, the entire event went on high alert. Security locked all gates. Police were called. Chief Namdi arrived within 20 minutes, his face gray with terror. Together, they searched every corner of the massive stadium. But Kelechi had vanished. Hours passed, then days, then weeks. The police investigation revealed that in the chaos of Halloween night, with thousands of costumed children running around, someone could have easily taken a child without being noticed. The security cameras had been overwhelmed by the crowd, just blurry footage of masses of people in costumes. Adora and Chief Namdi spent millions on private investigators, billboards across Nigeria, television appeals, newspaper ads. Adora appeared on every news channel, holding Kelechi's photograph, begging for information. "Please, if anyone has seen my daughter, if anyone knows anything. She has a distinctive birthmark on her left shoulder blade, shaped like a crescent moon with 3 dots beside it. Please, just let me know she's alive." But no credible leads ever came. Chief Namdi couldn't bear the guilt and grief. 3 years later, in 2011, he died of a massive heart attack. Doctors said it was stress. Adora knew it was a broken heart. After burying her husband, Adora threw herself into work with almost manic intensity. She expanded her business empire, bought more companies, opened more hotels, made more money. Forbes called her the Iron Queen of African business. But every Halloween, she would sit alone in her mansion in Ikoyi, in Kelechi's childhood bedroom, preserved exactly as it had been 15 years ago, and stare at her daughter's photograph. "Are you alive, my baby?" she would whisper. "Do you remember me? Are you safe? Do you know Mama is still looking for you?" She funded multiple organizations for missing children, She personally sponsored hundreds of searches for other lost children. She never remarried, never had other children. Her entire life became a waiting game, waiting for the phone call, the breakthrough, the miracle that would bring her daughter home. And she never stopped hoping. Not for 15 years. Not ever. A 5-year-old girl vanished at a Halloween carnival and was never found. A billionaire mother has been searching for 15 years. Can you imagine losing your child in a crowd and never seeing them again? If your heart is already breaking, smash that like button and subscribe to AfricanTales by Zion. Drop a comment. Have you ever lost someone precious to you? Next chapter shows where that lost little girl ended up, and you won't believe what happened to her. Turn on notifications. Present day, 2023. Nkem woke up at 4:30 a.m., as she did every morning, on a thin mat in the small storeroom at the back of the Okafor mansion. The room smelled of cleaning supplies and had no windows. It was hot, cramped, and barely big enough for one person. She was 20 years old now, though she felt much older. She splashed water on her face from a bucket, tied her hair back, and put on her maid's uniform, a faded blue dress that was 2 sizes too big and had been passed down from the previous maid. By 5 a.m., she was in the kitchen preparing breakfast for the Okafor family. Mrs. Okafor, her husband, Mr. Okafor, who was rarely home, and their 2 daughters, Uloma, 25, and Zainab, 23. Nkem had been working for the Okafors for 8 months, ever since Mama Ezen died, and she needed money to survive. Nkem, why is this tea not hot enough? Mrs. Okafor's sharp voice cut through the morning quiet. Nkem hurried to the dining room. I'm sorry, Ma. I'll make fresh one now. You're useless. Do you know how much I pay you? N30,000 a month, and you can't even make proper tea. 30,000 naira. That was all Nkem earned for working 16 hours a day, 7 days a week, doing everything from cooking to cleaning to washing to ironing. Yes, Ma. Sorry, Ma. Nkem kept her head down and returned to the kitchen. Uloma and Zainab came down for breakfast, both wearing expensive designer clothes, fresh from the salon, nails perfectly done. Oh, God, is that the maid? Uloma wrinkled her nose. She smells like poverty. I can smell her cheap soap from here, Zainab laughed. Nkem, after breakfast, scrub all 3 toilets. And I mean scrub with your hands, not the brush. Yes, Ma, Nkem replied quietly, after they finished eating. Nkem cleaned up their plates still half full of food that could fed her for a day. But she wasn't allowed to eat the family's food. She ate leftover gari and whatever scraps were left. As she washed dishes, her mind wandered to the one thing she wished she knew, who she really was. Mama Ezen had told her the story many times. I found you on November 1st, 2008, wandering the streets of Mushin. You were crying, dirty, wearing a torn pink dress with sequins. You couldn't remember your name, couldn't tell me where you lived. I waited at the police station for 3 days, but no one came for you. Mama Ezen had been a poor widow who sold vegetables in the market. She couldn't afford to take Nkem to an orphanage or hospital for proper documentation. She simply took the child home, gave her a new name, Nkem, which means mine, and raised her. You are my daughter now, Mama Ezen had said. God sent you to me. Nkem loved Mama Ezen deeply. But when the old woman died last year from diabetes, Nkem found herself completely alone in the world with no family, no papers, no education beyond primary school. She had nothing and no one. The only clue to her past was a recurring dream, a woman's voice calling Kelechi. Kelechi, where are you? And the feeling of being lost in a crowded, noisy place with bright lights and music. But Nkem didn't know what the dream meant. Maybe it was just her imagination. Nkem, Zainab's voice screeched from upstairs. Come and clean my bathroom. And hurry up. I have somewhere to be. Nkem climbed the stairs slowly, her body aching from exhaustion. When she entered Zainab's bathroom, the younger woman was standing there with her arms crossed. You know what? Before you clean, I want you to apologize. For what, Ma? For existing, Zainab smirked. For being poor and ugly and worthless. Say it. I'm sorry for being poor and ugly. Kem's throat tightened with humiliation, but she needed this job. She had nowhere else to go. "I'm sorry," she whispered. Louder, "I'm sorry for being poor." Zainab laughed cruelly and walked out, leaving Kem alone with her shame and the dirty toilet she was expected to clean with her bare hands. That night, lying on her thin mat, Kem stared at the ceiling and whispered a prayer, the same prayer she whispered every night. "God, whoever I really am, wherever I came from, please let me find out someday. Please let me know I belonged to someone once, that I mattered to someone." She didn't know that she had mattered to someone every single day for 15 years, and she was about to find out. The lost princess is now a maid being treated like trash. She has no idea who she really is. She's being mocked and humiliated by rich people, while her billionaire mother is 5 kilometers away searching for her. This is heartbreaking. If you're angry at how she's being treated, smash that like button and subscribe to AfricanTales by Zion. Comment, what would you do if you found out you were secretly royalty? Next chapter is where the mother and daughter come face to face at a Halloween gala, and you will not believe what happens. Hit that notification bell. Thank you for watching AfricanTales by Zion, where hidden identities are revealed. October 31st, 2023, exactly 15 years after Kelechi disappeared. The Grand Imperial Hotel ballroom was transformed into an elegant Halloween wonderland. Unlike the chaotic carnival of 2008, this was a sophisticated charity gala for Lagos's elite. Black tie event, live orchestra, silent auction, and a ticket price of N$500 per person. Mrs. Adora Namdi stood at the center of it all, wearing an elegant black gown, her hair perfectly styled, diamonds glittering at her neck. At 47, she was still strikingly beautiful, but her eyes carried a sadness that no amount of wealth could hide. This gala had become her annual ritual, raising millions for organizations that search for missing children, supporting families who, like her, refuse to give up hope. Thank you all for coming. Adora addressed the crowd from the stage, her voice steady but emotional. 15 years ago tonight, I lost my daughter Kelechi at a Halloween event. Every year since, I've hosted this gala to help other families find their missing children. Because I know what it's like to go to bed every night not knowing if your child is alive, safe, or even remembers you. The ballroom was silent, hundreds of wealthy Lagosians listening with respect. Tonight, we've raised $45 million for the Missing Children Foundation. Thank you for your generosity. And to every family still searching, don't give up. Miracles happen. I still believe I'll find my Kelechi someday. The crowd applauded as Adora stepped down, wiping tears from her eyes. Among the attendees was Mrs. Okafor, who had bought a table to show off her wealth and social status. She brought her daughters Yoloma and Zainab, both dressed in expensive gowns. And she brought Nkem. "You'll carry our bags, serve us drinks, and stay out of sight," Mrs. Okafor had ordered. "We're going to this gala to network with important people. Don't embarrass us." Nkem wore a simple black dress, not a gown, just a plain dress Mrs. Okafor had bought from a roadside vendor for N$3,000. She carried the family's designer bags and stood behind their table like a shadow. "Nkem, get me champagne." Yoloma snapped her fingers without looking at her. "Yes, Ma." Nkem walked to the drinks table and carefully carried a glass of champagne back. As she leaned across the table to place the glass down, her dress sleeve pulled back slightly, and there, on her left shoulder blade, visible for just a moment, was the birthmark, a crescent moon with 3 dots beside it. Adora happened to be walking past the Okafor table at that exact moment, greeting guests. Her eyes casually glanced at the young woman serving drinks. She saw the birthmark. Everything stopped. The glass in Adora's hand slipped from her fingers and shattered on the marble floor with a crash that echoed through the ballroom. Conversations halted. Heads turned. But Adora didn't notice. She was frozen, staring at Nkem's shoulder with an expression of absolute shock, her hand covering her mouth, her entire body trembling. "The birthmark," Adora whispered, her voice shaking. That's impossible." Her security detail rushed to her side. "Ma'am, are you all right?" Adora didn't answer. She stumbled forward, her eyes locked on Nkem, tears already streaming down her face. Nkem turned, confused and frightened. Why was the famous Mrs. Namdi staring at her like that? "Excuse me." Adaora's voice cracked with emotion. "Young woman, please, may I speak with you?" "Why, yes, ma." Nkem's heart pounded. Had she done something wrong? Adora stepped closer, her hands trembling. "What is your name?" "Nkem, ma." "How old are you?" 20, ma." Do you know who your real parents are?" Nkem's throat tightened. "No, ma. I was found on the street when I was small. I don't remember anything from before." Adaora's legs nearly gave out. Her security guards held her steady. "What date?" Adaora's voice was barely a whisper now. "What date were you found?" "November 1st, 2008, ma. The day after Halloween." A sob escaped Adaora's throat. The entire ballroom was silent now, everyone watching this surreal moment. "Where?" Adora grabbed Nkem's hands. "Where were you found?" "Mushin, ma. The woman who raised me found me wandering alone." "And the dress?" Adora's tears fell freely now. "What were you wearing?" She said it was a torn pink dress with sequins. Adora collapsed to her knees right there in the middle of the ballroom, pulling Nkem down with her, sobbing uncontrollably. "It's you!" Adora wept, clutching Nkem's face in her hands. "It's my Kalechi, my baby, my daughter. I've been searching for you for 15 years. 15 years. Nkem's mind couldn't process what was happening. "Ma, I don't understand." "The birthmark." Adora pulled down the shoulder of her own gown, revealing an identical birthmark on her left shoulder blade. "Crescent moon with 3 dots. You have the same birthmark as me. The same rare birthmark. You were 5 years old when you disappeared from the Halloween carnival at National Stadium. You were wearing a princess costume. Your name is Kalechi Namdi. You're my daughter." The ballroom erupted in gasps and whispers. Nkem stared at the identical birthmark, her mind spinning. But I don't remember." "You were traumatized," Adora sobbed, holding Nkem's face gently. "The doctors said you might lose your memories. But I never stopped looking for you. Never. I've searched for 15 years, and God finally brought you back to me." Mrs. Okafor's face had turned white. She stumbled to her feet. This is impossible." Adora turned to her, eyes blazing through her tears. "How long has she worked for you?" Eight months." "And how have you treated my daughter?" Mrs. Okafor's mouth opened and closed, but no words came out. Uloma and Zainab had gone pale, realizing with horror that the maid they'd been mocking and humiliating was actually the daughter of the richest woman in Nigeria. Security. Adora stood up, still holding Nkem protectively. "Get DNA testing arranged immediately. Tonight, I need confirmation." She looked down at Nkem, who was still on her knees, tears streaming down her face, unable to comprehend this impossible moment. "You're coming home with me," Adora said gently, helping Nkem to her feet. "You're never going back to that house. You're never being treated like a servant again. You're my daughter. You're Kalechi Namdi. And from this moment, your life changes completely." Nkem couldn't speak. She just sobbed in the arms of a stranger who might be her mother, while the entire elite of Lagos watched in stunned silence. The lost princess had been found, and she'd been hiding in plain sight all along. The mother saw the birthmark. She collapsed in the middle of the gala. They have the same birthmark. After 15 years, they found each other. Are you crying right now? Because this is incredible. Smash that like button and subscribe to AfricanTales by Zion. Comment, did you see this coming? Were you shocked? Next chapter shows the DNA test results and what happens to the Okafor family, who treated her like trash. You need to see their faces when they realize what they've done. Turn on notifications. Thank you for watching African Tales by Zion, where miracles happen when you least expect them. That very night, Adaora's private medical team conducted DNA testing at her personal hospital. Nkem sat in a luxurious private room, still wearing the cheap black dress, still unable to fully process what was happening. Adora sat beside her, holding her hand, unable to stop crying or smiling or staring at her. "Even if the DNA test is negative," Adora said softly, "I know in my heart you're my daughter. A mother knows her child. But I don't remember, Nkem whispered, tears still streaming. I don't remember you. I don't remember being Kelechi. I'm sorry. Don't apologize. Adora squeezed her hand. You were 5 years old and went through something traumatic. The doctors will tell us everything. But you're here now. That's all that matters. The test took only 4 hours with Adaora's resources and connections. At 2 a.m., Dr. Okonkwo, Nigeria's top geneticist, entered the room holding the results. Mrs. Namdi, he said with a smile, congratulations. The DNA match is 99.9%. This young woman is definitively your biological daughter. Adora let out a sound that was half laugh, half sob, and pulled Nkem into her arms. My baby, my Kelechi, you're really here. You're really alive. Nkem cried too, though she still felt like she was in a dream. 15 hours ago, she'd been a mocked housemaid with no identity. Now she was supposedly the daughter of a billionaire. What happens now? Nkem asked. Adora pulled back and looked at her seriously. Now we bring you home, to your real home, and we start rebuilding your life, the life that was stolen from you. By morning, the story had exploded across Nigeria. Every news channel, every newspaper, every social media platform carried a headline. Billionaire finds lost daughter after 15 years. She was working as a maid. The Okafor family woke up to their phones ringing nonstop with calls from horrified relatives, furious friends, and journalists demanding comments. How could you treat Mrs. Namdi's daughter like a slave? Did you know who she was? What kind of people mock and abuse a poor girl? Mrs. Okafor's hands shook as she read the social media posts. The Okafors made her clean toilets with her hands, while her real mother was searching for her. Disgusting. They fed her scraps like a dog. She's worth billions, and they paid her $30K a month. Karma is real. They mocked someone's precious daughter. Within hours, Mrs. Okafor's friends had all blocked her. Her church sent a message asking her to take a break from attending. Her social club expelled her. Business partners canceled contracts with her husband. Uloma and Zainab locked themselves in their rooms, crying with shame and terror. Their own friends were blasting them online. You made her say, I'm sorry for being poor and ugly. You're monsters. I can't believe I was friends with people this cruel. Mr. Okafor, who had largely ignored Nkem's existence, now realized the magnitude of what his family had done. He called an emergency family meeting. We need to apologize, he said, his voice tight, publicly, before this destroys us completely. Apologize? Mrs. Okafor shrieked. We didn't know who she was. That's the problem, her husband shouted back. You treated her like trash because you thought she was nobody. But every person deserves dignity, whether they're a billionaire's daughter or an actual maid. Now the whole country knows what kind of people we are. Meanwhile, at Adora's mansion in Ikoyi, Nkem stood in front of a mirror, barely recognizing herself. Professional stylists had done her hair and makeup. She wore an elegant dress worth more than she'd earned in her entire life. She looked beautiful, healthy, cared for, but she still felt like Nkem, the maid. It's okay to feel confused, Adora said gently, standing behind her. You've had an identity for 20 years. It will take time to accept your real one. We'll go slowly, and I'll help you remember. Or if you never remember, we'll build new memories together. Why? Nkem asked quietly. Why did this happen? Why was I taken? Why did I forget? Adora had been investigating through private detectives. We think that during the chaos of the carnival, someone grabbed you, maybe to kidnap you for ransom. But something went wrong. Maybe they got scared. Maybe they realized you were too recognizable. They abandoned you in Mushin with your costume torn off. You wandered alone and got traumatized. Your 5-year-old brain shut down the memories to protect you from the pain. Tears rolled down Kem's face. Mama Ezen saved me. If she hadn't found me, I'm grateful to her, Adora said, her voice thick with emotion. She kept my daughter alive when I couldn't. I wish I could thank her. That afternoon, Adora held a press conference with Nkem, now publicly Kelechi Namdi. sitting beside her. My daughter's been found after 15 years, Adora announced to the world. She survived because of the kindness of a poor woman named Mama Ezen, who has since passed. I'm establishing a foundation in Mama Ezen's name to help vulnerable children. And I want to say this clearly. Kelechi was treated terribly by people who believed she was just a maid. But there is no just anything. Every human being deserves respect. Poverty is not a crime. Being a domestic worker is not shameful. What's shameful is how people with privilege treat those with less. The Okafor family watched the press conference on TV. Their shame complete. They had mocked a princess and never knew it. And now the entire nation knew their cruelty. The DNA test is positive. She is the billionaire's daughter. And the Okafor family is being destroyed on social media for how they treated her. The whole country is furious at them. If you're satisfied with this karma, smash that like button and subscribe to AfricanTales by Zion. Comment, should the Okafor family be forgiven or punished more? Next chapter is a final chapter where Kelechi reclaims her identity and confronts the people who abused her. You cannot miss how this ends. Turn on notifications. 3 months had passed since the Halloween night when everything changed. Kelechi, she was learning to answer to her real name now, sat in the study of her mother's mansion, looking at photographs from her childhood, her 5th birthday party, family vacations, her father holding her on his shoulders. I wish I remembered him, Kelechi said softly, holding a photo of Chief Namdi. He would be so happy you're home, Adora said, sitting beside her. He died believing he'd failed to protect you. But he didn't fail. You survived. You're strong, just like him. Over past 3 months, Kelechi's life had transformed completely. She'd seen doctors who confirmed the trauma had caused her childhood amnesia. She'd started therapy to process everything. She'd been enrolled in an accelerated education program because she'd missed so much schooling. Most importantly, she was learning what it meant to be loved. Adora didn't just give her money and things. She gave her time, attention, patience, and unconditional love. They talked for hours, cooked together, watched movies, laughed. Slowly, Kelechi was healing. But there was one piece of unfinished business. Mama, Kelechi said one afternoon, I want to face them. The Okafors. Adora looked at her carefully. Are you sure? You don't owe them anything. I know, but I need them to see me, not as their victim, but as who I really am. Adora nodded slowly. Then we'll do it your way. The Okafor family had been living in social exile. Friends gone, business suffering, reputation destroyed. Mrs. Okafor had aged 10 years in 3 months from stress and shame. When they received an invitation to meet Mrs. Namdi and Kelechi at the Namdi Industries headquarters, they knew they had to go. Maybe she'll forgive us, Yoloma said hopefully. Or maybe she'll destroy us, Zainab whispered. They arrived at the towering glass building in Victoria Island, were escorted to a luxurious conference room on the top floor. Adora sat at the head of the table, dressed in an elegant business suit, and beside her sat Kelechi, no longer the scared maid in cheap clothes, but confident young woman in a designer outfit, hair professionally styled, carrying herself with quiet dignity. The Okafors looked at her and barely recognized the girl they'd abused. Sit down, Adora said coldly. They sat. Do you know why I asked you here? Adora's voice was ice. To accept our apologies? Mrs. Okafor stammered. We are so sorry. We had no idea. You had no idea she was my daughter, Adora interrupted. But you knew she was a human being. You knew she felt pain, humiliation, exhaustion. You just didn't care because you thought she was nobody. Silence. My daughter told me everything. How you made her clean toilets with her bare hands. How you fed her scraps. How you made her apologize for being poor. How your daughters mocked her appearance and made her sleep in a storage room. Tears ran down Mrs. Okafor's face. We're sorry. We're so sorry. Adora leaned forward. My daughter is worth more than your entire family combined, and you treated her like garbage. You should be in prison for labor abuse. Please, Mr. Okafor spoke up. We know we were wrong. What can we do to make it right? Kelechi spoke for the first time, her voice steady and strong. You can't make it right. You can't give me back the months I suffered in your house. You can't erase the words you said or the way you made me feel worthless. Yuloma and Zainab couldn't even look at her. But Kalechi continued, I'm not going to destroy you the way you try to destroy me, because I'm better than that. I'm going to let you live with your shame. And every time you see my face on TV, every time you hear my name, every time you see the Namdi brand, you'll remember the girl you abused who turned out to be worth more than you'll ever be. She stood up. We're done here. You can go. The Okafor stumbled out of the conference room, humiliated and defeated. Adora looked at her daughter with pride. You handled that perfectly. I learned from the best. Kalechi smiled. 6 months later, Kalechi stood on stage at a press conference, announcing her new initiative. I'm launching the Mama Ezen Foundation for Vulnerable Children. Kalechi spoke confidently into microphones. This foundation will provide education, healthcare, and support for children living on the streets, children working as domestic workers, children who are lost like I was. Because I was blessed to be found, but millions of children are still invisible, still suffering, still being treated like they don't matter. They do matter. Every child matters. The crowd erupted in applause. Adora watched from the side of the stage, tears of pride streaming down her face. Her daughter, her lost princess, had come home not just to wealth and privilege, but to purpose. That night at their mansion, Kalechi and Adora sat on the balcony, looking at the stars. Do you think Mama Ezen knows? Kalechi asked quietly. That I found my real family? I think she knows, Adora said. And I think she's proud of you. She saved your life. She gave you love when you had nothing. She made you the strong, kind person you are today. I had 2 mothers, Kalechi said softly. One who gave me life, and one who saved it. I'm blessed. Adora wrapped her arm around her daughter's shoulders. We both are. I spent 15 years searching for you, and you spent 15 years surviving, until I could find you. But we made it. We're together now. They sat in comfortable silence, mother and daughter reunited. 2 broken pieces finally made whole. The maid everyone mocked had become a queen. The lost princess had found her way home. And the woman who never gave up searching had finally found what she'd been looking for. Sometimes miracles take 15 years, but they're worth the wait. The end. This story reminds us that every person has a story we don't know. The maid you dismiss might be someone's missing daughter. The street child you ignore might be destined for greatness. The nobody you mock might be somebody's everything. Treat everyone with dignity. You never know who you're really talking to, and you never know whose life you might change with simple kindness. From mocked maid to billionaire princess. From sleeping in a storage room to living in a mansion. From being called worthless to running her own foundation. This is the ultimate transformation story. If this journey touched your heart, smash that like button and subscribe to AfricanTales by Zion. We have more incredible African stories coming your way. Comment below, what's the most powerful lesson you learned from Kalechi's story? What part made you cry? What part made you cheer? Share this complete story with everyone. Someone needs to hear this today. Turn on post notifications so you never miss another amazing story. Remember, you never know who you're talking to. Treat everyone with respect. Hidden royalty is everywhere, and mothers never give up on their children. Thank you for being part of the African Tales by Zion family. Until the next story, remember your worth is not determined by your circumstances. Kindness costs nothing, and every person you meet might be someone's precious missing piece. See you in the next incredible story.